Peace, family. We are now live. We are now live. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Man, we're gonna have an amazing show today, y'all. So before I bring on my guest, y'all seen her before. Let's get to a few commercials and we'll be right back. Get comfortable, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. We're gonna learn about some history today. And this is definitely gonna be well worth it. So we'll be right back in 1 minute, family.
Hey there! Had a bad dream? I have dreams too. Some parts are scary and some parts are fun. Always remind yourself, it's only a dream and everything will be okay. I had a dream about being in a forest too. Check it out, my pet Peedy was with me. Order your copy of Kayla, Peedy, and the Forest on Amazon today.
Here, aka Goddess Guru, let me tell you something. When you think about magical people that seem to be manifesting the life of their dreams, those that have enough resources to do what they're called to do, and it just seems like the universe unfolds for them, it's no accident. Many of them are working with supernatural tools. I have created such a tool with my 2023 Angels Unleashed calendar. Go to VickiPlanet.com, buy them by the dozens. Let me see you there.
It's the numerational session with King Simon. Text your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. And get my books on Amazon now.
All right. We are back, family. Shout out to everybody watching. And without further ado, I want to bring back on the goddess Vicki Dillard. Welcome back to the show, my sister. Welcome back.
Thank you so very much. It is such a pleasure to be with you, my dear brother. I'm so proud of you and pleased to be with you and your audience. Thank you so much.
Hey, we got an amazing show for y'all today. But first, I want to give a shout out. I got a fast that I'm doing right now, Dilly, with Vicki Dillard with KT the Arch Degree. You ever heard of that, brother?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. That's Mama Pill's son, matter of fact. That's Mama Pill's son.
I didn't even realize he was, but that's beautiful.
Yeah, Mama Pill's son. Let me show the people. This is just I told everybody we're gonna do we're doing a 7-day veggie juice and veggie fast. Let me just show y'all the let me show y'all Discord. Shout out to everybody in this is the Discord family. I was telling y'all about this for like 2 weeks, but this is Discord, and everybody enjoying themselves. We're gonna do some push-ups tonight. Everybody's just sharing recipes, sharing what they made. Shout out to everybody in the Discord, people grounding. But yeah, this is what it's about, family. Community learning and doing things as a community. Even if it's a virtual community, just getting inspired and motivated by each other. So shout out to everybody in the Discord. Discord is very active. What's this here? Somebody got Blue Lotus here. So shout out to everybody in Discord. The Paradise Pie. Look at our mystical dream. Look at this Paradise Pie, y'all. That's amazing. But shout out to everybody in the Discord. Got to give y'all a shout out. They doing what they do with the fast. And with that being said, Vicki Dillard, like I said, I'm pleased to have you on here. How have things been for you? You haven't been on in a while. How's everything?
You're right. It's been a minute since I've been with you. So I'm so grateful, Brother Rich. I have been really focusing on getting better with my health. I've been pretty transparent while still concealing, obviously, some things because, unfortunately, my health has been the topic of mockery throughout the internet. But that has been my number one goal, is to focus on my health and related to one of my organs. And actually, it affected other parts of my body. But I'm making some gains, and I'm going to continue to work with herbalist and holistic approach because the traditional medicine has already given up on me, and I'm not even going there with the dire projections and diagnoses that they try to give. But I've been making some gains going the holistic route, so I plan on continuing to do that and to continue to do my work. Yes,
indeed. All right, well, let's get to the topic. A very exciting topic. I always hear Rod Hayes talk about, and he gave you a shout out. You seen the shout out he gave you, right, Rod Hayes?
I did. Oh, I'm so honored, and I just want to bow to him and you and your audience. I was so pleased. Some of my supporters from that morning, the next morning, I think it was, to that night, I was receiving messages from folks saying, "Rod, I shouted you out," and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" So thank you.
One thing, Vicky, one thing Rod definitely always says is he always talks about how the Vatican um took took the power from the black woman. He always talks about how they usurped the power from the black woman. And when you text me the subject. I usually just come up with the subject myself, but when you text me, you want to talk about this. I said, hell yeah. I said, yeah, let's go. I said, let's go. I'm ready. I said, I'm ready. I'm ready to hear. Like my brothers Red and Blue say, they be like the Vatican getting exposed. So
Okay, yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. And I'm ready to hear about, the black woman, that's divine feminine energy, and how they was doing back in the day, and how they got shut down by, we all know who we gonna talk about tonight. But go ahead, what exactly, Vicki Dillard, who exactly is, now how do you say it, Mami or
Yes, Mami Wata. I've heard other pronunciations, but the author of the books that I have read, one of them, and rereading and delving into a couple of the other volumes of a more than 800.
Let me show that. Hold on, let me show that so people could get the book.
Yes, this is one. That's the one, the new one that I'm working on. There are 2 volumes to this one. It's about the same. Volumes 1 and 2, but this is the first. Look at all this.
Yeah.
I've already read it once, but it's been reading me, frankly. This is the original one that I'm going to be focusing most of my attention on. There's other research I've done outside of these books, but let's just focus on these. How about that? The Sybils, the first prophetesses of Mami Wata. I've heard other pronunciations, but the author of these series, Mama Zogby, she was known also as Vivian Hunter Hindru, and Chief Honan Amangasi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I've heard her, because I was doing research, other types of research in person, pronounce it as Mami Wata.
Okay. So tell me exactly what's going on with this. How did the Vatican steal the power seat from the black woman? And tell me about Mami Wata's Sybils, what exactly that is. I'm very interested in this.
Yes, indeed. Let's do a little bit of word magic. How about that?
Okay.
Because there's oftentimes codes even hidden in the mutt of the English language, but there's still some magic in it, right? And so one of the things that we find, even when we're discussing the Vatican, for example, we use that word, obviously, that is not necessarily an English word, obviously, but I want to give you the etymology of it, and I want you all to listen very closely. Vatican means divining serpent, derived from vatis, V-A-T-I-S, diviner. The second part of the word can, C-A-N, means serpent. Okay, I can't see. Did I hit something? Okay.
No, you're good.
Good, awesome. So Vatican City and St. Peter's Basilica, of course, that's the region that's known as the Vatican, that is situated inside of Rome, Italy, yes? Were built on the ancient pagan, are y'all listening? Site called in Latin Vaticanus Mons, or Vaticanus Coli, which means hill or mountain of prophecy. So the word Vatican itself, vatis means a seer, a prophet, soothsayer, a diviner, divination. A soothsayer is an act covertly to use hidden arts, magic, to practice sorceries and mysteries. A diviner means witchcraft, tell fortunes, to bewitch, to consult a spirit of the dead, or to practice magic. So the Vatican itself, beloved family, it was the ancient pagan site of these Black global prophetesses that were known around the world. So that geographical location, Italy, was actually stolen and usurped by the Catholic Church. Now, you must know that Europe, before the Greco-Roman, the white pale-faced Europeans as you know them today, much of the world, of course, we are the people of the planet, yes? So because there is no place on the planet where we're not the original or the indigenous, we were the original in those spaces before they were taken over by what we know as the modern Europeans today. Do you understand? So that was the region of these prophetesses. They had temples all across the known world at that particular time. Their prophecies, their oracles, their scrolls, their books were stolen by the Catholic Church, and their rituals and their insight were not only adopted by, stolen from the Catholic Church as we know it, but also many of its spiritual principles were taken from Islam, as well as Buddhism, Hinduism, and other major religions. So let's start there. So I want to say this in terms of Mami Wata. This notion, this word of Mami, which I want to be very clear, Mami is a feminine word, and I'm going to be referencing from her book family. So don't mind me. Let me be a little wonky and academic today before I get into my own supernatural experiences. I hope that's okay with you.
Excellent.
Thank you. On page 20 of the book, she lets us know that Mami is a holy honorific title denoting great reverence attributed to any African god, goddess, particularly of the waters. The Afro-Chaldean account goes Ishtar, Ishtar. Some of you may have heard of Ishtar. In her inconsolable grief, it gives a particular story of rebellion and betrayal of her. But in this particular excerpt that I want to read for you, prophesied through one of her Sybils the following fate that would befall her beloved African people. It says, spake Ishtar, like a child uttered, the great goddess her speech, all to corruption are turned, and then I in the presence of the gods prophesied, as I prophesied in the presence of the gods evil. To evil were devoted all my people, and I prophesied, I am the mother, have begotten my people, and she goes on. So these are words that are interchangeable. This notion of the Sybils were basically the priesthood, the priestesses, the divine healers and prophetesses of Mami Wata. Sybils were also known by other names, but it is easier to basically group them with this basic name of Sybils that basically had to do with those that were the priestesses and the prophetesses of Mami. Mami was the honorific of the god. I'm going to say this part really quickly, if you just bear with me a minute. The instructions on Mami Wata is known as the divine African mother, Mami, as God. Watch this. Oral tradition also says, I'm giving you other names because you'll recognize this. Oral tradition also has it that when men revolted against the authority of Mami, they separated themselves from the divine African mother. In one Afro-Chaldean, in parentheses, it says Reiki. How many of y'all heard of the word Reiki? Rekhi. The Afro-Chaldean Reiki ancient Babylonian account. Mami is worshipped as the goddess Aruru Ishtar. Ishtar meaning queen, and watch this, or lady, Our Lady. How many of you all have heard of Our Lady, particularly the name that we give often to who we call Mary, the Mother of God, that we refer to her as Our Lady. So I just wanted to throw a couple of those things out there so that we can have that as background.
Woo! Oh man, hell of a start.
Yes, indeed. Now, if I might, this is very important, beloved, this notion of the Black woman, because the Vatican is considered to be the original sacerdotal seat of the Sybils. I'm going to say that again. The Vatican is considered to be the original sacerdotal seat of the Sybils. What does that word sacerdotal mean? It has to do with things related to the sacred or the priesthood, okay? It is important that we understand that the Africans, including the Black Buddhists, the Umbrians, the Black Etruscans, some of you all have heard of them before, erected civilizations in what is now Italy thousands of years before the Anglo-Romans. I had just mentioned that before, but I want to be very technical now. As the first established sacerdotal African matriarchs, the Sybils' cultural and religious impact was arguably, she says, the most profound on ancient civilization that modern history has ever revealed or cared to admit. I'm going to give you a couple of land masses and then I'll stop and let you interject. From Mesopotamia to Libya, Mizraim, you all know Kemet, Egypt, right? Iona, Manoah, modern Turkey, Greece, and later Rome. The Sybils, please don't miss this, were the primary divine Vatican and absolute moral authority. Finally, I'll say this. For centuries, the Grecian islands, like at Delphi and other such things, Delphi and Dodona and others, and the Temple of Mami in ancient Libya, were the ecclesiastical and moral hub of religious, social, and international political activity. I'm going to say that last part again.
Please.
They were the moral hub of religious, social, and international political activity. It was under, listen, the theocratic governance of these African matriarchs that known as the Sybils or Queen Mothers. Watch this, that reached its golden age of achievement in medicine, religion, astronomy, philosophy, law, agriculture, music, art, and social sophistication. Just wanted to throw that out there. Yes, sir.
Wow. So how many volumes did this sister write with this book?
This particular volume, this is the only one that I am aware of the Sybils here. But she goes in depth with the 2 volumes that I'm aware of and that I'm reading through. This second volume here is the one that I'll display. It's 897 pages. So there are at least 3 books. The distributor sent me the wrong, double the wrong one originally. So my other volume is coming now. But these are the ones that I have so far. So at least 3. Yes, sir. And this one, like I said, is nearly 900 pages. These the 2 volumes that are the thickest are specifically about Mami Wata, which again is about Africa's ancient goddess unveiled. And then this particular one has to do specifically with her first prophetesses, these Black women that were recognized throughout the world as healers and sorceresses and magicians, and their history was covered up, it was concealed, it was destroyed, and unfortunately overtaken by the Catholic Church. And again, the geographical location where the Vatican is situated is actually their land where they prophesied from, which is why I wanted to give you the etymology and the background of even the word Vatican.
What time period was this?
Yes, the time period of the oracles that they prophesied actually was over a 4,000-year history that preceded the Bible even as we know it by thousands of years. Now, I hope that y'all are ready for this. I'm going to read this from page 5.
Yeah.
Archaeological pottery shards date the Black descendants of the Libyan, the Gargamantes, present day. These are some different other African clans and so forth. I won't get into all the details of that, which settled into ancient Babylon and elsewhere before the flood to have arrived in Manoah as early as 4000 BCE. Hailed as one of the 7 wonders of the world. I don't know if you all are familiar. Some of you have got to be, because I'm watching the Magic Channel, have heard of the so-called 7 wonders of the world. There are many more. These sacred temples were maintained by the Sybils and a contingent of vestal virgin priestesses and eunuchs. So that's just a little bit of the background of that. And that starts when they're talking about some of the other names. They were also known as Sisters of Isis. I just want to throw that in there really quick. And Black Diana. And actually this notion of the dove that we know as the Holy Spirit, they were also known by the dove. Also the symbol of the serpent was also connected to them as well as the bat and other animal symbols. In fact, before I came into the knowledge of the specific name of Mami Wata and her Sybils, they appeared to me in multiple forms over many years. And one of the major forms they appeared to me in was in the dove form, and most recently in a bat. So that's a whole other story.
Most recently in a what? You said most recently in a what?
A bat.
Oh, in a bat. Okay.
Yes, sir. And so that's a bit of an esoteric insight, but I'm just going to leave that out there for now because of other.
Listen, Vicki, my channel is extremely esoteric, so you could go as deep as you want to get, as spooky. You can't scare us. Yeah, I would love to hear about the bad thing if you want to talk about it, the bad experience, but it's totally up to you.
Yes, well, I'm going to leave a little bit of that because I feel a reluctance
Okay,
uh,
definitely.
related to that right now. But
Yeah.
I feel a little more comfortable in terms of the doves because right before my federal trial that took place many years ago, I had a bunch of supernatural experiences leading up to that that let me know that there were some impending things that were taking place.
Yeah.
Messengers came to me, supernatural things that were taking place because of the powers and the forces that I was up against. Prior to my subsequent conviction, unjust conviction, I should say, in an unjust federal trial, I was in a very high apartment in the state of Colorado. And I remember being so shaken
Hmm.
leading up to some of the things that I was experiencing. But there were two doves that flew all the way up. If I told you the floor number, which I won't say right now because people are strange out there. So I'm not actually at that location, but I'm still going to be extra careful because I have family here in the state.
Hmm.
Um, but it was a high floor. I'll just say that. And the two doves came directly to the window while I was there. And if you understand the makeup of the building, and if you understand where I was situated and how high it was, and even the fact that the curtains were drawn for me to even notice it, and how it didn't make any sense that it would take place, I was so moved and shaken by the experience. I shared it with a family member and documented it, only for me to learn later in that form and in another what would take place. I channeled a name related specifically to these women and their power without knowing anything about what it was. And also two other incidents that took place where prophets, seers, one of whom was a complete stranger to me. Um, I will share this. I was supposed to speak and sing at a park, and my trial was coming up within a year or two of this experience. I had a family member of mine that was assisting me with my items being brought in, and I had tickets that were obviously free for me and my attendance. So the attendant at the gate asked for my pass, and so I gave him the pass for me and my sister who was assisting me at the time. My mother was already in there. He told my sister to hold my items, and she held my items, and he thought I was going to have an ecstatic experience and I guess fall out because he didn't know how I was going to take what he said. He said, "You're going to lose everything and it's not going to be pretty." He said, "But in the end, it will be for the saving of many souls." And he saw me in what he described as priestly accoutrements.
Mm.
The second vision from another person, where this person cried and broke down, they saw me in a bishop's attire sitting on a throne. What the average person may or may not know about me, which I don't often talk about, and I won't get into too much detail about it, but I have a particular history with the Orthodox and Catholic Church. Yes, I was born and raised in Mississippi, and New Prospect Missionary Baptist Church is where I was raised. Yes, I was a part later on of a non-denominational church. Yes, I was connected to some parts of Islam. And yes, I'm a student of religion in general. But I was actually chrismated in the Orthodox Church. For those of you that are unfamiliar with them, 20 some odd years ago, they are considered to be the Eastern branch of the Catholic Church. There's a such thing as an Eastern and Western Church. The Orthodox Church was considered to be the authority and those that had the original authority, spiritual authority from who they said was Christ. There's a such thing, if you research it, as apostolic succession. Apostolic succession is what's known as an unbroken chain of power that is passed down from bishops and pope. There was a schism with what's known as the Eastern and Western Church. The
Mm.
Orthodox Church has different branches today, but the Eastern Church broke off with the what's known as the Western Church because the Western Church, which is the papal authority, the Catholics, which by the way, the word Catholic only means universal. The Catholic Church believes in the papal authority, meaning one man. That's the main separation between the Eastern churches. The Eastern Church believes in a council of bishops. So that's the main difference. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So under their order of the Orthodox Church, I was chrismated and have a spiritual name. And I'll leave that at that for now. So
How much influence did these Sybils have over the Bible, you think, and all the stories we hear in the Bible?
Brother Rich, you always ask the absolute best questions, the most prophetic and insightful questions. How much influence, my dear brother, their oracles, their prophetic scrolls were stolen and corrupted by the church and other major religions. It is why we're sitting here today talking about why the Catholic Church stole the sacerdotal seat of these prophetesses. Now, so that I can give you specific excerpt about that exactly, if you would permit me. Our dear sister lets us know on page 6 and 7, for starters, the Sybils' most significant contribution were their famous oracles containing divine prophecies that they would utter in trance possessions. These prophecies would be carefully written down by their assistants and compiled into books. These prophetic proses were the basis for Greek and Roman tragedies and plays. These prophetic books were later collected by the Roman authorities, y'all listen, and soon became the sole and undisputed precursor to the Western Christian Bible, and would lay the ecclesiastical foundation, listen, of Western civilization. Over the millenniums, other Sybil prophecies, oracles, and revelation were systematically retrieved and purchased, stolen, or haphazardly collected by various means, all throughout the ancient world where their temples existed. It was these books that would later be plagiarized, revised, or altered. I just want to be wonky right now because I don't want y'all thinking the sister making nothing up. And compiled into one holy book known as the Sibylline Oracles. They would later become the center of the bitter, are y'all ready for this? I hope I don't offend nobody, but if you are, like it or lump it, doctrinal or heresy wars between the warring, are y'all ready? Levitical Jews and the emerging Roman Vatican authority. As the African matriarchal power began to decline, it says, and her colonies taken over by foreign conquerors, it was the thrones and sacerdotal power and prophecies of the Sybils that were stolen from them by the emerging Roman church. These religions later labeled them as pagan and heathen.
Wow.
So I wanted to give you that bit of insight. If I might, I'll say this one bit, and you can interrupt at any time. The emerging, Brother Rich, Roman church, it says, in their ignorance and their ambition, acquired and doctored the Levite Jews as corrupted versions of the Sibylline prophecies. I'm bringing this up because there were multiple spiritual systems that were grasping at the bit for their prophecies. And so they took their books, they corrupted their books, they revised their books. So I want to read this final part. Some of these prophetic books were used by the Vatican to compile what is known today as a Judeo-Christian Bible, crediting their authorship to conspicuous Roman, y'all ready, and other male prophets. These books, for which it was hard to conceal their African matriarchal origins, were simply destroyed or relegated as heresy. So that's a little bit of insight on their prophecies. I want to say this. I'll parenthetically say this because this is a known thing amongst many, even if you are not a Christian. By the way, the Bible, because it's an anthology of books and principles, as I mentioned before, that were stolen and renamed and altered, it is to the degree that the Bible has its magic, it's because its ancient spiritual system, the roots of it is from Black ancient spiritual systems. We discussed the book of Revelation. Some say the book of Revelations with an S, but it is not. Look at it again. It's the book of Revelation because it is said to be one revelation of this Christ. Yes. When you read the first few chapters of the book of Revelation, they talk about some 7 churches. How many of you all have heard that? Yes. And it discusses such places like Asia Minor, which is modern Turkey, and other places. They talk about those who they said were those that were persecuted. Those churches are actually mostly the Sybils temples that were stolen and taken over. They were the ones that were being persecuted because of their high magic, because of their economic and political and social status in the world. So it was them that these books were talking about. It was their doom. It was their persecution that those particular books that were actually their temples are referring. Of course, there are many other spaces in the book, but I wanted to talk about the book of Revelation because it is one of the most famous and often quoted. I also want to go ahead.
No, please go ahead. No, this is good. This is good. Please go. This is good.
Ashe. Some of us have heard about the story in recent time when I discussed. I was actually in Georgia for some health stuff and business stuff recently, and when I was on my way to my holistic treatment, I decided to go live to discuss a statement that CeCe Winans had recently made about how one of the songs that
Whitney Houston.
Yes.
I'm every woman. I'm every woman. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And in the song, she talks about casting a spell. And CeCe Winans came out and talked about how Whitney wanted her to actually do the song with her, at least appear in her video. And she said that Whitney said to her, I know you're not going to appear in it because it's talking about a spell. And she said, you're absolutely right, I won't. And then in a fairly recent comment, CeCe was, recorded saying basically that the song was demonic. And so I wanted to go in about this notion of demonology. Actually labeling that particular song as demonic.
Yeah.
Because I use the word spells, because this is a problem in all major religions, let's be clear, and where this notion of this dark energy and spells and sorcery and some of these subjects that we were made to fear, you see, where did these things come from? And so in my discussion of that, I brought up within the context of some of that, some of the Sybils, yes? And so I wanted to say this, a famous story, and I briefly talked about this. Some people wanted to argue with me about this notion of this demon. So there's a famous story that talks about this witch of Endor. And this King Saul, who was the one that was jealous of David the king. How many of y'all remember at least just hearing something about some of those names? Yes. Mm-hmm. So there was war over approximate 13-year period of time between David, who was said to be a shepherd boy, right, and who had defeated Goliath, and who David considered to be his mentor, Saul, became jealous of him. Mm-hmm. And so after David and after Saul tried to kill him so many times and was jealous of him over the years, eventually Saul's reign declined, and he was taken out in a war that was prophesied that he would be. Yes, but prior to that, it said that the spirit had left him. He did not have a prophet by which served as the medium, you see, for him to get divine instruction. So the thing that assured his reign and its success and him winning victories in battle had everything to do with his connection to the prophets. But because he was so rebellious, that was cut off. So during the time, it says they outlawed the prophetesses, the sorceresses, and other such things, Brother Rich, at that time. So we're taught about this in our Sunday school classes, yes? So this Witch of Endor that's in 1 Samuel 28 discusses that because the divine wasn't talking to him and he wasn't cut off from the righteous and sacred prophets, Saul had outlawed these other forms of sorcery, yes? But then he disguises himself to go to this witch to call up the dead prophet that he used to get guidance from. Mm-hmm. She, this Witch of Endor, E-N-D-O-R, research it. Mm-hmm. This Witch of Endor in 1 Samuel 28. In my research, it talks about specifically, it is said that she is one of the Sybils. I'm talking about some of the traces of the Sybils that's still in the book. And because I'm using it as a point of reference for those that recognize and use the Bible as a book of magic, because many religions and spiritual system uses the Bible as a spell. There are parts of Islam that uses the Bible. There are parts of root workers, yes, voodoo and hoodoo and other such things that use the Bible, that use them differently. So like it or lump it, that is the reason I'm invoking that at this particular time with all of its mess. So because this is a famous text, this Witch of Endor, it talks about how Saul went to this sorceress, this witch, this medium. And in verse 8, it says, Saul disguised himself. He put on clothing and left. He was accompanied by 2 men. He went to the woman. And it says, look, you're aware of what Saul has done. He's removed the mediums and magicians. So this is what she's telling him. She said, it's against the law for me to do this black magic for you. Yeah. And again, he disguised himself. So she didn't realize who he was at the time, right? It says, Saul swore by oath. She said, why are you trapping me? So you can put me to death? But Saul swore an oath to her by the Lord, as surely as the Lord lived, you will not incur guilt in this matter. The woman replied, who is it that I should bring up for you? Bring me up Samuel. The woman saw Samuel. She cried out loudly, it says. The woman said to Saul, why have you deceived me? She said, you are Saul. The king said to her, don't be afraid, because remember, he disguised himself. The very woman you outlawed, yes, and her work. Watch this. And I'm going to talk about, don't forget, remind me of why this is important that we're discussing the Sybils in this day and time. The king said to her, don't be afraid. What have you seen? The woman replied to Saul, I have seen a divine being coming up from the ground. He said to her, what about his appearance? She said, an old man is coming up. He's wrapped in a robe. Saul realized it was Samuel. He bowed his face toward the ground and kneeled down. Samuel said to Saul, why have you disturbed me? Where's my gavel? Where's my gavel?
Come on. Come on.
This sorceress, this witch, this medium.
Yes.
Let me keep going.
Please.
Why you disturbed me? How was this witch able to call up this divine prophet? I thought she was satanic. Watch this. Why have you disturbed me? He says here, you won't answer me. I'm terribly troubled. The Philistines are fighting against me, and God has turned away from me. He does not answer me anymore, not by the prophets nor by dreams. So I have called on you to tell me what I should do. Samuel says, why are you asking me now that the Lord has turned away from you and has become your enemy? The Lord has done exactly as I prophesied. The Lord has torn the kingdom from your hand and has given it to your neighbor David. It says, since you did not obey the Lord and did not carry out his fierce anger against the Amalekites, the Lord has done this thing to you today. The Lord will hand you and Israel over to the Philistines. Watch this. Tomorrow, both you and your sons will be with me. Y'all better hear me. The Lord will also hand the army of Israel over to the Philistines. After I invoked this text, and I told my dear family the other day in the live that this is one of the Sybils, someone commented, well, we need to understand that there are demonic angels. They can call up these spirits and they can make themselves basically angels. They can make themselves prophets. I said, the problem with that corrupt interpretation that we were all taught, including me, by the Christian church, this lie that it was a demon. We don't need to get into what really a demon really is right now. Angels ain't demons, but we're going to leave that alone right now. We're going to leave that alone. We don't want to talk about how Solomon, the wisest and the richest, and the key to these. We're going to leave that alone right now, right? We're going to leave that alone. Watch this. I said, the problem with that Christian lie that I was taught too is that so-called demon prophesied the same thing as Samuel the prophet when he was alive. That don't work, baby. So we must understand, it's another story of Deborah, who was a black judge, it was said in the book of Judges. And it was said that none would go to war. The military wouldn't go to war. And this particular general at the time, she prophesied to them, and she said, has not the Lord said X, Y, and Z? She was commanding him to go forth in the army, right? She said, now is the time. Didn't I tell you that this was what you were supposed to do? The general said, I ain't going to war unless you go with me. I was also taught that he must have been a weak man if he refused to go to war without this woman. But of course he wouldn't. They took their orders and they got their insight. These are a couple of things that I'm helping some of the average person that are aware of the Bible, or even if you're not a Christian and all this kind of stuff. Some of us are taught these stories that you cannot corroborate or that you cannot reconcile, you see, or make sense of this. You can't make sense of some of the sorcery and the black magic that's clearly in the text. Divination, astronomy, astrology, that's clearly in the text. You can't make sense of that unless there was something else to it. And I want to tell my family, and this is just me being that motherly energy, fear not. Don't worry about our open enemy giving us the interpretation that we're going to hell. Let me tell you why. Because as our elders have taught us, the more research they do, yes, the more artifacts they find, the blacker the bones, the blacker the research. Hello, Lucy. Every time they dig, it gets blacker. What are you worried about? Every time they find something else we weren't taught, another book, another scroll, another truth that they lied to us about and packaged it in the Bible and said this book is the word of God that kept us in bondage. What are you worried about? Because every time we dig, it still leads back to us. Do you understand?
Yes.
I wanted to say this about this Witch of Endor, this medium of Endor. And I want to tell you why I think this is prophetic. You say it was me that sent the story to you. But when I was on some time ago, you asked me about talking about
the witches. I asked you to talk about the witches. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I learned of one of my ancestors that was a witch down south after the fact. And this led me
to
see
this.
Come on now. You play too much. You play too much. Brother Rich, you play too much.
Oh, man.
And so me not knowing that they were with me the whole time and that these supernatural manifestations of these priestly accoutrements and these thrones and the way in which I would move. I want to share this, and you can cut me off at any time. When I talk about some of the animal manifestations that I had, and I'm private about some of the other ones because Spirit won't release me to talk about it right now. I want you to understand, like the story that I just read you from Samuel about this Witch of Endor. Saul was leading one of the leading governments during this mythological time. Yes? There were laws, rules, and regulations. He was the establishment. But when he needed a certain type of power, when he needed a certain type of insight, are y'all hearing me? He went to the witch. He went to the medium. Let me tell you something. Now is our time, beloved family. We are dealing with what some might say is manufactured banking, closings and stuff in Silicon Valley and other places. We are dealing with poverty and certainly white supremacy, racism, and all manner of oppression. Yes. We appear to be outnumbered. Yes, family. We don't appear to be a part of the establishment where we have the nuclear codes. We're not most of the mayors and presidents and governors, are we? So what are we going to do? I am saying that this is time for us to begin to tap into the divine energy of the Sybils right now. Mami Wata's prophetesses and other forms of power. Somebody say black magic.
That's my name.
Come on now, Black Magic 363. Is that what we are, Brother Rich?
Oh, man.
And as I've said before, because people would always trip and say, Vicki, you a witch now? Look, let me tell you, I'm going to tell you a story. Y'all ain't going to believe this. When I had some other people that were supposed to be Vicki Nation supporters, they cataloged a whole bunch of video testimonies, right? And other testimonies. They would send them to me and I would post them and they would post them on other places. Watch this. One of these good Christian sisters, I was told, sent a message after she got a $20,000 breakthrough through one of my courses, my teachings. One of her family members, because I was teaching about the secret money in your womb. And I was so excited to have gotten off of disability, getting $100 and some a week. I wanted to talk about how Spirit blessed me to do that, right? Because when I learned one step, I'm trying to grow. So I'm like, when I learned that little bit of supernatural information, I'm like, I'm going to tell the sisters, right? Watch this. She got a breakthrough using my principles from a family member that she didn't even know. You know how the family members, you don't even know, look, broke down and all that kind of stuff and got all that money. Wrote a check for her dream wedding for $20,000. She did a video crediting my teachings for it. Guess what she did after that, Brother Rich?
What?
Allegedly. They sent a message to me where she asked me, she told me don't use the video of her anymore, giving the testimony. Because she apparently done married her a bishop, reverend, deacon, somebody. Watch this. And we can't have them witchy teachings. I don't know what she do in the Bible now. She was tripped out now. She was saying, I don't know. I ain't down with her teachings and stuff. Now that she got a little $20,000 check, the kids her to marry this bishop, reverend, deacon, whoever he was. Apparently now she had to separate herself because she can't be out there now. She married to the deacon bishop guy. I'm calling him deacon bishop. I'm being funny, but I definitely believe he was in that Christian order situation. So she wanted to, you understand, distance herself from me after she experienced all this magic. So I just found it very interesting. But I want to say this: when I was a girl, Brother Rich, about 12 or 13 years old, Spirit prompted a prophetic woman to come to my home. And in the presence of my mother and my grandmother in our kitchen, she prophesied a text from Jeremiah chapter 1. And do you know what that says, Brother Rich? I'm a young girl, right? I'm a young girl. So the text, because I want you to hear it directly, talked about when they were telling Jeremiah, because he was a young teenage boy prophet, when the divine told him he was going to use him as a prophet, he said, oh no, I'm too young. And Spirit was checking him, said, don't say you're too young and all this. She gave me that particular text. And the divine led her to our home to prophesy this over my life, where it says in Jeremiah 1, verse 10, watch this. See, I have this day set thee over nations and over kingdoms, to root out, to pull down, to destroy, to throw down, to build, and to plant. It said also in that same text, this was prophesied over me. For all the families of the kingdoms of the north, said the Lord, they shall come and they shall basically set themselves against you, but he was going to make me a fortified city. I'm a girl, and the divine sent her. I had some supernatural experiences too, to tell me that I was going to have authority over the nations, but I was going to have to start by rooting out. Did you hear what I said? Pulling to root out, pull down, destroy, throw down, then build and to plant. So she began to prophesy some of my destiny as a young girl. And so it is really interesting now when people want to know some of the impact that this girl with the curly braids using a laptop and a cell phone that upsets networks and pretty powerful people, places, and things. And then, of course, my encounter with the government and other high-level entities. Why Vicki and how did it go down like that? It's a part of my destiny. And I also believe that this is in line with some of the Sybylline energy that I believe is a part of what we're doing today. And just like Saul went out of the system to tap into this black magic, I think now is our time. I wanted to specifically talk about that because the Catholic Church is a global authority, yes, with 1.5 billion some odd people that are part of the Catholic Church. But most of us don't even understand and know that that is the heritage of the Black matrilineal bloodline women that were prophetesses and that literally influenced the entire known world of the day, and that that sacerdotal seat was actually ours. And some believe that some of the scrolls that the Vatican keeps locked up, some of that black magic and some of that insight and how they're even able to, as one of my mentors and brothers teaches, to do some of their exorcisms and some of their demonology. How is it that they have text? Where did they get that from? Is there some magic that gives them a supernatural power that's still residing because of the Sybils? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Mami Wata's prophetesses and that very geographical location and the name itself, and certainly the text that even we use and even the other texts that we know nothing about that has to do with demonology, the things that they outlaw and sourced out. So how is it that they were able to rule the world and still to this day have all of this influence. Maybe that's our black magic, and I'm suggesting that we do something about it.
I gotta give you a half, yo, Vicki. Listen, you had me like zoned out, like I'm just listening, like because I don't have much knowledge of. Show that book of this book you're referencing and the things you're talking about. This is
Yes,
amazing information.
yes, the Sybils family. You can get this. The Sybils of the first prophetess of Mami Wata. Please screenshot this name here. Do you all see the subtitle there? The Theft of African Prophecy by the Catholic Church.
Mm.
Do y'all see that?
Yeah, they got it. They got it.
Okay, awesome. I want to also, if you don't mind, I'll quickly do this. I want to say this. I'm someone that so pro masculine. Yes, I'm so pro man. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the notion that this matrilineal women were ruling the world, as she states even here, had nothing to do, and I'm paraphrasing, this is me talking, also with modern feminism, Me Too kind of energy. Do you understand?
Big difference.
This has to do, watch, with the natural order of things.
Mm-hmm.
I teach my students that the universe is our university. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
The universe is our university. When we observe the universe, we learn lessons from the universe. It is, in fact, our master teacher. The wisdom of the universe says it is the woman, not I am the way, the truth, and the life, man, Jesus. No. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes into the planet except they come through us. The wisdom of the universe, the divine dark goddess in particular. It is in us you live and move and have your being. The wisdom of the universe teaches that it is not some power or some force or some energy because of some political movement. It was the natural order of things, and it was under their influence and their divine rule because they had a perfect balance. Watch this, of the masculine and feminine. You see? Mm. That were honored when they ruled. The world, as I read to you a minute ago in this particular excerpt, reached its golden age, its peak, its blessing. And the world has certainly been off course ever since. So it is important that the divine feminine is honored, and we begin to take a look at the state of our world and what in the hell is going on without the proper understanding of the divine feminine woman, the dark goddess in particular.
I don't even think Vicki's talking tonight. I think you channeling tonight. I think you channeling. You got to be channeling. The Sybils is channeling straight through you tonight. I can feel that shit. I can feel that energy. Channeling tonight. This is power in here tonight. This is power. Let me ask you this, Vicki. So we you know, as I came up in the conscious community and I gained knowledge of self, I will always hear about Christianity being a stolen religion from Kemet. I will hear about Jesus comes from Osiris, Mary comes from Isis, the Holy Spirit, Horus. I would hear about how they stole the Holy Trinity from us.
Yes.
But recently, and I would hear that from you know, a lot of different male speakers. But what Rod Hayes said is interesting.
Say that name again.
Brother Rod Hayes said is
Shout
interesting.
out to Rod Hayes. I have such a deep respect for brothers that honor the divine feminine woman. That's a different kind of man. And I'm gonna say this real quick. Don't forget your point. I find some of them to be the most masculine.
Yeah, ain't that funny? Yeah. But check this out, Vicki. Instead of Osiris being turned, instead of Jesus being a plagiarized version of Osiris, Rod Hayes said Jesus is a plagiarized version of Isis. And when you just said Jesus, that I'm the man, the way, you like, no, I am the way. I'm like, oh shit, that is the black. Whoa, they took the qualities of this divine energy, gave this shit to Jesus, said, okay, and who's the biggest figure in the world? Jesus, a man.
Come on.
He's the biggest savior all over the planet.
And we don't
I
have.
got you. I wish I had Rod Hayes on here, man. Y'all would have killed this, man. But go ahead, Vicky. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
To be sure. But when you look at our reproductive system,
Yeah.
when you look at the way our ovaries are and the way our yonis are shaped, it is actually the cross where we see the Jesus that's being crucified with the head down. You will see that it matches actually that. Do you understand? There's so much that's in that. And so, I don't know if we're really ready, for a lot of this, but the reason this is coming up now, our brother, I felt so honored. I could cry right now that they would come to me. I felt so honored that this energy, they would show themselves in flashes of my life, and they would show the images to strangers and other people that would say I was in priestly accoutrements. They would see me sitting on a bishop's throne. They would say, and who knew that I would be looking at 20 years in prison, because the messengers told me what I would be dealing with, but they didn't tell me about no conviction of 16 counts, brother. They left that part out. that would be a conviction. 16 counts. Guilty, 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 guilty. He did not know, the stranger, that I had lost all of my millions of dollars worth of property at the time, because we were investors, not real estate agents, not brokers. We were not professionals like that. We purchased property. He did not know my fight of divorce and bankruptcy and multiple foreclosures. He did not know the family deaths. He did not know the things that I was dealing with almost all at the same time. And this stranger prophesied to me at the gate, you will lose it all, and it will not be pretty. But in the end, it will be for the saving of many souls. I see you in priestly accoutrements. It will be for the saving of many souls. And then sometime later, after that guilty verdict and unsuccessful attempts to clear my name and fraudulent documents and witnesses that were mostly foreign and I had never heard of and flown from out of town, and your corrupt government and the judge's refusal to release important discovery. And to this day, I still don't have a lot of the discovery after 50,000 pages were turned over. The right side of the courtroom, Brother Rich, was filled with white people that took breaks. They were involved in civil cases and criminal cases to see what would become of this Vicki Dillard. Before the news blasted me, I was already making the news, which is why I became a problem from certain Wall Street entities and other local and governmental officials. Oh, we got receipts, emails that show that the people I was beating the brakes off of by myself in court with little to no training, I was channeling in court and was making some real enemies, was emailing the feds and other forces, pressuring them to come after me. We have the emails for that. And then they appeared in court, Brother Rich, all these white folks. They filled the court and packed all the right side of the court to see what would become of Vicki Dillard. Hello, Vicki Dillard. And then when they took me in, after almost being out for a year before sentencing because of the government's lies and the numbers and the banks that they were making up, we were able to get extensions, mainly because we were able to prove that they were lying and making up numbers. And so we were able to prove that, which is what was one of the reasons that the delay was caused in sentencing. They took me to the back after the judge said that she was having mercy on me for not, instead of giving me 20 years, giving me 5. And learning my fate and realizing that that was one of the astral events that I had when I was going through stairwells and places. That was me going through certain prison places. I was on a plane. I was shipped from state to state. I was probably in about 5, 6, 7 facilities. I was in Kansas. I was in a federal facility in Oklahoma. I forget some of the other places throughout Colorado and different cities and states before they flew me out of here. And then bust me and so forth. And I don't know, y'all know anything about being shackled in black box. What y'all know about black box and shackled? That would become my life because it took me a minute to get to Texas in a women's federal prison on a military base is where I was assigned. And then I ended up working as a prisoner for the U.S. government. I was one of the female prisoners whose labor was used for the actual military. And I became a master landscaper. Jesus. Wow. I can drive somebody's John Deere.
Vicki, real quick, tell the people what do you have coming up? Because I gotta be there. I gotta be there.
Well,
and go ahead.
I want to do an ancestor webinar soon, but that's not yet. Right now, I'm I have my angel calendars and my Vicki University school, which is my mastermind school that was formerly known as Club Vicki. So those are two things. Right now, you can join Club Vicki for $44. I do 2 or 3 courses every single month. You can get access to this type of teaching there, and I still have a few more of my angel calendars that you can purchase. So that's the big thing that I'm doing right now is my angel calendars.
Man, I'm gonna get one. I don't want you to send me one. I want to buy one. I gotta support you. You did your thing tonight, Queen. You did your thing tonight. You channel. Ancestors is proud of you, man. They like, yo, she allow us to use her as a vessel. You did your thing. So I want to I want to put your website on the chat. What's the website?
It's VickiPlanet.com. VickiPlanet.com. www. I can, if you want me to, I can just text you the link. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Okay, awesome.
I don't know if they could. Yeah, make sure y'all hit up. I'm gonna give me an angel calendar, y'all.
Oh,
yeah, I definitely got to support. And guess what, Vicki? Real quick, I got a surprise for you. We only got about 15 minutes, but I got a surprise for you, family. I got a surprise for you. Got a surprise for y'all. Rod Hayes.
Hold on 1 minute.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my to you. I bow to you. Oh, Brother Rich, how could you do this live?
Hey, I was instructed to. I'm just following. I'm following divine. I'm following divine order.
This is crazy. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Hey, Rod, real quick, my brother. First, I gotta thank you immensely for taking the time out. I just hit the brother up 5 minutes ago, y'all. So I want to thank you, my brother. But listen,
hey, Rich, let me go out and come back in because I can't hear you correctly.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, let Rod go out and come back in.
Brother Rich.
I had to do that. The way you was talking tonight, man. Listen, I had to do that.
And crying all at the same time. This is crazy.
Let's get he's coming.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this is the best. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Rod, can you hear me, my brother?
Everything cool now. You're good.
Okay, so Rod, check this out. I just need about 10 minutes of your time, my brother. We're about to wrap it up, but I told Vicki because she's talking about the Vatican stealing the power seat from the black woman, and I'm like, yo, Rod keeps he brings that up. He says it. He talks about Jesus coming from Isis. I never heard that before. I always heard Jesus coming from Osiris. So I'm like, nah, I gotta get Rod. Something keeps telling me, call Rod, get Rod on the line right now. Rod, could you tell? We was talking about the Sybils. Queen Vicki was talking about the Sybils. Talk to me about the Vatican and what went down with the Sybils and how they took the power from the black woman, real quick, Rod.
So the Vatican is actually the house of the divine feminine grand matriarch of the planet. They moved the location from Kemet to Rome when Rome took power. So remember when they said they had 6,000 years to rule because they can only hold that seat until the woman come back for her power at the close of the age. You ever heard of the Shrine of the Black Madonna?
Yes. Oh, yes, indeed.
Yes.
Okay, so you know how the Pope wear white?
Yes.
The Great Mother wears black.
Mm-hmm.
And the sisters, they call them the nuns, but we call them the Sisters of the Noon. It's still spelt the same way. Mm. The noon was them in the white was the mirror opposite of the primordial noon, the great waters of creation that all things spring from. All right. So the goal was now the closest facsimile where I could give you a visual where you can understand what took place is Cleopatra.
Mm.
Remember, 2,000 years ago, they said Jesus got crucified for being a heretic. Okay,
Yes.
now you got to look at what's contemporary with the time frame. The Greek language writes Jesus as IESOUS. When the rules of pronunciation of grammar is applied, it spells ISIS. The story that they tell biblically as the story of Jesus is the symbolic sacrificing of Venus, which is the divine feminine, the mother aspect of the woman. So the Pope, he can't sit on Big Mama's seat. So he placed his seat under her seat. This is where you get your Jacob doctrine of the underminers, those who go under to steal the birthright of the ones who's the rightful heir. So the Jacobins, the what we call Hebrew Israelites, that's the doctrine. The story of Esau and Jacob is the undermining proper, but it's all coded. That's why they don't tell you that Aaron was the staff member who Moses threw up to confront the Pharaoh's magicians in a debate. It was a verbal challenge of knowledge. The Madonna seat hovers about 30 feet over the Pope's head. It's big as hell because the original Inanna was about 12 feet tall, at least. And she wasn't originally from here, but she has a mitochondrial tie to the earth. And once that mitochondrial link was made and the pact was made with Prime Creator, that's what got us into these cycles to reclaim the earth from the rogue patriarchs that came to subvert the divine feminine. All of these God stories, crucified, resurrected, virgin, anybody born of a virgin got to be a female. Anybody born of a virgin without the aid of a man have to be a female, unless she got super mama powers. Right? And this is where the problem come in, where they get your so-called immaculate conception. Correct. The firstborn of the earthborn parthogenic sons of the divine feminine. Right? Anointed by the great mother to redeem the sisters of the planet Earth called the daughters of Isis. The daughters of Isis, the high-ranking members, is the sisters of the Sybil priestesses. These is where you get your heirs to the seat that the Pope is undermining.
Come on now.
Right? So they changed the dress of the nuns, put them in black when they supposed to be in white, put the Pope in white when the divine mother, the dark mother, the black Madonna, is supposed to be a heavy melanated sister.
Come on now.
Right? And she traveled the world and get the matriarchs from around the world to back her play when she get ready to take over. That's already work that's done. We know who Black Madonna is on the land. All of the signs point to Khadijah Muhammad as the highest ranked matriarch of the indigenous people of the land. So it's hard for people to get in touch with her because of who she is. They not gonna just let anybody walk up to the president. How the fuck you think anybody supposed to walk up to the grand matriarch?
Hey.
You think Farrakhan protected? Fuck with Mother Khadijah. You're gonna find out that the FOI is on another level at that point. There ain't no understanding in them when you go fucking with the mama. It's bad enough you fuck with the father. But when you go messing with the mama, all of the gloves come off, and then you find out why they everywhere all over the land.
Wow.
And then you see who they backed by everywhere in every hood all over the land. Right? So we come back for every fucking thing they owe. Mama said, don't let nobody take nothing from your brothers or your sisters. This is my sister's shit, and I came to make sure they get it all back.
Come on.
I'll worry about mine after they get theirs, because they always gonna take care of me.
Hey, Rod, I want to thank you, my brother, for coming on here. I gotta get. We mentioned you early, and I said I gotta get Rod on here and just drop it and let Vicki know that there's brothers out there that's on this divine feminine teaching and then speaking out for this energy. You know what I'm saying?
I've been watching Vicki for years.
Really? I was so blessed. They were messaging me, some of my sisters and supporters from the next morning to night. Say, did you hear about Rod? Hey, shout you out. They sent me the clip and I put it on my Instagram page. I have no idea how to find you there, but I was trying to tag you, but I didn't know where to go to find you. But I certainly thanked Brother Rich for having you on. What a legend, how powerful you are. It does my heart so good to know that folks like you exist. I can only count on, no disrespect to my brothers, I love them so much, but that really go in for the sisters. I can only count maybe 2 or 3 on one hand that I really rock with like that. And so I just want you to know from afar, actually one of my sisters actually turned me on to you when I would see clips of you. And then as I start to absorb more of your teachings, I said, this man is not from here. So
Rod ain't from here. Nah, Rod ain't from here. I can tell you that. Rod ain't from here.
I'm earthborn. I'm from here. I'm just from the old souls that been here the longest. I'm from here.
I say.
That's why they called me to evict the imposters, because they ain't from here.
Wow.
And I can smell them. I can smell them the way a dog hunt a rabbit.
Wow.
My goodness.
Hey, Rod, I'm about to wrap it up with Vicki, my brother. I'm gonna call you tomorrow, but I thank you so much, my brother, for coming on real quick. I'm gonna holler at you.
No problem.
All right.
Absolutely amazing. Beautiful revelation.
Shout out to my brother Rod Hayes, man. Yeah,
You just blessed me for the whole year with that.
Hey, listen, I want people to, you channeled tonight. You did something amazing tonight. So yeah, we had to have Rod bless the energy and bring it a little more just to put icing on the cake. Everybody, make sure y'all hit up VickiPlanet.com. I got the Discord family, so I gotta do push-ups with them tonight. So I gotta get out of here by 10:30. That's why I gotta get out of here. But let me take one or two questions from the chat. This show has been phenomenal. Give me 1 or 2 questions, family, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Give me about 1 or 2 questions, family, then we're gonna wrap it up. But man, wow, you got me electrified, man. This is what it should. Wow. Yeah. I'm gonna buy them books, Vicki. I'm gonna buy them books.
You must. But this book, I didn't just read this book, and I only say it about 2 or 3 different books. This book read me. Do you understand? Everything, it made sense of my 44 years of living. And because of the other supernatural experiences that I told you I couldn't talk about here, they've come to me. And then I had a dear brother of mine also who confirmed some things to me, another Black magician that I was talking about, because there's only 2 or 3 that I know that I rock with that really are on this divine feminine. And so I'm so glad Brother Rod is one. Peace and love. Oh, mastering ourselves, connecting, linking, emerging, becoming missions, the mighty Mississippi flows. Mighty Mississippi. What y'all know about that Mississippi? Y'all know I'm born and raised in Mississippi.
Hey, I don't see any questions. The people, okay, somebody wants to know thoughts on UFO phenomenon going on. What's your thoughts on that, Vicki? All this talk of
do
UFOs.
I believe? Do we? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I believe. And I don't think it's by accident that these things are happening now. I was studying in the books of the Sybils, and they actually said that they came basically from the 10th order, and they used the myth of Saturn and the Titans and other such individuals and entities and myths to describe their origin. So there was a cosmic, a celestial, and a terrestrial lineage that our sisters also connect with. And I certainly believe the same. I say that also because of what I was channeling for my ancestors' webinars that I did, when I literally channeled that cosmic and celestial connection. So it is not by accident that some of the things are taking place now with the UFOs and so forth, and some of the energies that we're beginning to tap into. And some of us hop on planets, but it's not for no reason. Some of us are actually the natives on some of those other planets, and some of those energies are useful in the earth plane if we know how to begin to harness it. And believe it or not, this notion of demons and demonologies teach us some of those sacred secrets. So I'm just going to wrap it up by saying, yes, I believe in the UFO phenomenon.
And last question, Vicky. Where's it at? How do we sign up for Vicky's $44 session?
VickiPlanet.com. If you go to that same link, you'll see where you can get the calendar. I think my team put the link for the calendar on the front of the website, and you'll also see the link for Vicki Planet. Vicki University is the name of my spiritual school, but you can access both at VickiPlanet.com. This was so amazing. So thank you so much, Brother Rich, for tonight. And when you call, Brother Rich, when you message me, I have to switch up everything for my brother because it's so worth it. And I thank you so much for the privilege.
Indeed. Shout out to everybody in the building. We got about 2,500 people here. Shout out. They absolutely loved the show tonight. They loved it. They loved it.
May I say?
Yeah, go ahead, Vic. Go ahead.
You've got to get out of here, but I want to say this. She says, and I want to leave this with us.
Mm-hmm.
The story of the Sybils is long and complicated because it's been so badly disguised, corrupted, and carefully hidden by Western religious historians in the Catholic Church. However, some has been unearthed and is now being rewritten. Listen to this, because the Sybils are still being born in the ghettos of America.
Woo!
The shanty towns in Africa, and because it's necessary to place the African spirit within its ethnic and cultural environment. I just wanted to leave us with that, and that now is our time. And I wanted to really talk about the Catholic Church and my connection to the Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church, indirectly, because the Catholic Church is an offshoot of the Orthodox Church, as I mentioned before, and the Protestant Church, of course, came out of the Catholic Church. Whether you like it or lump it, your book was preserved by the Catholic and the Orthodox Church. And so I want us to know that now is our time, and that we can go outside of the system, use supernatural power on the earth plane for such a time as this.
Wow, amazing. I'm glad you didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to the Bible, and you use it for its magical purposes, because a lot of us got so frustrated and we just completely, like, we're not messing with that no more. And ever since I've known you, you've always used it for magical purposes. And, I salute you for that. Keep up the great work. I want everybody, Vicky, go to www.vickiplanet.com. Buy the Angels calendar. I'm gonna buy one tonight, y'all. I'm gonna make sure I buy one tonight. And then when I get it, I'm gonna show it on my show. I'm gonna be like, look, I got the Angels calendar, y'all. I'm definitely going to support. Definitely going to support. But listen, anything else you want to leave the people with before we leave, or that's everything?
If you get it, just do the monthly meditations for every month. I want you to know it's timeless. I know we're into the year now, but all you need to do is incorporate the text, and I give a meditation for that. The previous 2 months, just each day. I only use the calendar as a means to put the celestial, just to give celestial stories, spiritual stories, and then I add my own to it so that you can meditate on it. That's how I had supernatural. Somebody said I already got their calendar. That's how I manifested supernatural encounters. And because of the high level entities I was dealing with, and because of my purpose, I needed those energies. And the way you begin to do it is through those meditations. And so those are simple things, but they're powerful if you stick with it. One other thing, in the word spiritual is the word ritual. The word ritual is in the word spiritual. So that lets you know that if you're going to take your spiritual life to the next level, you got to have some pretty good, consistent rituals.
Indeed. With that, family, thank you so much for tuning in. Vicky, thank you. We get out of here, family. Peace.
Well, peace.